Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala Rasulil Kareem. So moving on to the second lesson, we're now going to be discussing the Thulathi Mujarrad Abwab. Because we said before there were how many Abwab in total? 35. So there are 35 Abwab, and one by one, moving to the left, we're going to cover all of them individually. So the first section we're going to cover is Thulathi, and the Thulathi Mujarrad, then Thulathi Mazid Fi. So the first section we're going to be covering in this video is what? Thulathi al-Mujarrad. Okay? Right. Now this is a text, we copied it and pasted it, and we're going to discuss it one by one. So sittatun minha. 6 of all the 35 abwab. 6 of all the 35 abwab. Lithulathi al-Mujarradi. So altogether the 35 abwab. And from the 35, 6 are for Thulathi Mujarrad. You following? And now then he says here, he discusses each one individually. So للثلاثي المجرد. Mujarrad is a na'at, describes the thulathi. With thulathi, الثلاثي المجرد. The thulathi which is free from all additional letters. Now this is how if you look at this here, this is very important, this structure. He says الباب الأول موزونه علامته بناؤه المثال المتعدي مثال اللازم. He explains that موزون, and موزون, he says what bab is it? Then the موزون, the pattern. Then he says the sign and its structure. So first of all, al-babul awwal. What's the first bab? Fa'ala yaf'ulu. So that's the first bab is called what? Fa'ala yaf'ulu. Now in terms of babul awwal, it's good to keep this structure, this structure in mind, because in like books of tafsir or other books, they will say min al-babil awwal. So usually they say like nasara yansuru, they will say for example, it's like mithlu nasara yansuru or mithlu nasara. But sometimes some books will say min al-babil awwal. And Bab al-Awwal would mean what? Nasara yansuru. So this is a standard Bab al-Awwal. So it's good to keep this in mind. What's the first Bab? Fa'ala yaf'ulu. And mawzunuhu is pattern, or the thing by which it is measured. Its name. Ay mawzun, wazana yazinu is to measure something. The mawzun is the thing you measure it by. So fa'ala yaf'ulu is measured by, or it is assigned the nasara yansuru. So the first Bab, we would call it nasara yansuru. But the pattern is what? Fa'ala yaf'ulu. You follow me? Yeah? Very good. وَعَلَامَتُهُ, its sign. How do we know that this, what are the distinguishing characteristics of a verb from nasara yansuru? أَن يَكُونَ, an means that. أَن يَكُونَ أَيْنُ فَعْلِهِ. So the ayn of its fa'l, this is the ism of kana. This is what? Khabaru kana, and then the aynu fa'lihi, its sign is the ayn of the fa'l, meaning the middle letter. Because the first is called what? You have fa, la. Yes? This is called what? Al-fa'ul kalima, ya fa'ul fa'li. The fa of the fa'l. The ayn of the fa'l and the lam of the fa'l. So the sign of fa'ala yaf'ulu and nasara yansuru is that the aynu fa'lihi, the aynul kalima, the middle letter of that verb is what? Maftuhan fil madi, مضموما في المضارع. How do you translate that?
So the ayn of its verb has a fatha in the madi and has a dhamma in the mudari.
Like fatha in the madi, nasara, and a dhamma in the mudari. That's the alama. You got it? وَبِنَاؤُهُ لِلتَّعْدِيَةِ غَالِبًا. And it's bina. So what we say here is bina. You have bina. We have sigha, we also have mithal. All of these mean the same thing, the form. So the form, the structure, the conjugation. So this form of verb, nasara yansuru li ta'diyah. What does ta'diyah mean? It's for? What's the ism al-fa'il of ta'diyah? Muta'addi. So adda yu'addi ta'diyatan. Muta'addi, fa'il muta'addi. Fa'il muta'addi. So, غالبا, usually. So, what does it mean now? وَبِنَاؤُهُ لِلتَّعْدِيَةِ غَالِبًا. Translation?
It is usually
It is usually for?
It's usually فعل متعدي.
فعل المتعدي. فعل المتعدي means what?
Two مفعول.
Huh? One maf'ul. Any maf'ul, one or two.
It can have a.
It can have a maf'ul. In English, it's called what? Transitive or intransitive? Transitive. So it's usually transitive. So bina'uhu is pattern is what? What is it going to be? Transitive. وقد يكون. When قد comes on a فعل مضارع, what does it mean? Sometimes. When قد comes on a ماضي, emphasis, and when قد comes on a مضارع, it means what? Sometimes. وقد يكون لازما. Sometimes it is what? لازم. But usually نصر ينصر, majority of the times, is going to be what? متعدي, transitive. It has a مفعول. And sometimes it doesn't have a مفعول. It's لازم. Yes? You got it? You understand? مثال المتعدي, an example of this verb, of a نصر ينصر verb, when it's متعدي is what? نصر زيد أمرا. نصر زيد أمرا. So what's the translation? This guy's a good author. He didn't make Zayd beat Bakr. He didn't ضرب زيد بكرا أمرا. So instead he made it نصر. So he's made him help instead of ضرب. So نصر زيد أمرا. Zayd help Amr. So this is an example of النصر ينصر. What's so funny? When he ضرب يضرب, we make him again. He put ضرب first and نصر afterwards. So he hit him first, help him afterwards. But he's doing a good deed first and bad deeds afterwards. نصر زيد أمرا. Okay? So Zayd help Amr. Yes? And ومثال اللازم, an example of what? The lazim, meaning the intransitive is what? نحو خرج زيد is like خرج زيد, Zayd left. Zayd went out the house, went out the room, went out the building. Yes? So translation again. ستة منها. 6 of which one? 6 of the 35 are for what? ثلاثي مجرد. And then you go through all 6 babs. So الباب الأول فعل يفعل. The first bab is فعل يفعل. موزونه is pattern is what? نصر ينصر. Or the verb via which you match it or you line it up to is نصر ينصر. And the sign of this is what? أن يكون عين فعله مفتوحا في الماضي مضموما في المضارع. That the عين الكلمة, the middle letter is going to be مفتوح in the ماضي and مضموم in the مضارع. And what is this for? Usually it shows what? A transitive verb. فعل متعد. And sometimes it is what? لازم. A لازم is what known as intransitive. Correct? An example of متعدي is what? نصر زيد عمرا. An example of لازم is what? خرج زيد. No مفعول there. Yes? Got it?
What verb is فعل يفعل?
فعل يفعل is actually from فتح يفتح.
But it's used as an example.
It's used as an example. So فعل يفعل in theory is wrong because it's فعل يفعل. It's a فتح يفتح. But you just use it to just like as a pattern. So فعل يفعل is not really the verb. It's like a pattern. It's like a stencil. Yes? You got it? Okay, next bab. Now, before he goes on now, but we studied before what متعدي means, haven't we? We studied what لازم means, but he's saying, well, let me give you a footnote. What does متعدي mean? Because he said before, وبناؤه للتعدية غالبا وقد يكون لازما. So he's saying, what does تعدية and لازم mean? So he said, المتعدي, a فعل متعدي, هو المبتدا, that verb, تجاوز يتجاوز تجاوزا, to surpass. What does it mean? To surpass. To surpass. So a فعل متعدي is that verb which is يتجاوز فعل الفاعل إلى المفعول به. So a فعل متعدي is that verb in which the فعل of the فاعل, the verb of the subject, يتجاوز فعل الفاعل إلى المفعول به. The verb of the fa'il surpasses the fa'il and goes on to the verb. Maf'ul. Let me give an example. Same example. Nasara. I'm feeling sleepy as well. Nasara Zaydun Amran. Yes? So what happens? The word Nasara, who does it affect first of all? Zayd. But it also goes past Zayd and affects what? Amran. That's what it means. So يتجاوز فعل الفاعل الفاعل إلى المفعول به. The fa'il passes, it does amal, it affects the grammar of Zayd, but it also goes further and it affects what? The maf'ul bihi. That's called muta'addi. It transcends, it goes beyond. Does that make sense? Okay, and lazim is opposite. Huwa, a fi'lul lazim is that verb which does not whose fa'il, whose the verb of whose subject does not go on to the maf'ul bihi. بل وقع في نفسه, it occurs in itself. So kharaja, we have what? Kharaja Zaydun. Does the verb kharaja go beyond Zayd? No, but there's the khuruj and the exiting element stays within Zayd. And you know what translating means from English, and you within that before in the previous book. He's explaining in text. So if fi'l al-muta'addi huwa ma yatajawazu, it is that verb in which the fi'l of the fa'il goes beyond the fa'il and goes on to the maf'ul bihi. And the fi'l al-lazim is that verb in which the fi'l of the fa'il does not go on to the maf'ul. Rather, it is confined to itself. The action takes place within itself. Understood? Yes? Okay. Should we stop there? Or should we continue? Stop there. We start here today, we continue inshallah next week inshallah. Subhanallah bihamdi subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So continuing, so yesterday we did the first bab. The first bab was what? Nasara yansuru. And we have here al-babuth thani, which is what? Fa'ala yaf'ilu. Mawzunuhu daraba yadribu. The word by which we match it up, or how we name it. It is named as what? Daraba yadribu. وعلامته أن يكون عين فعله مفتوحا في الماضي ومكسورا في الغابر. Its sign is what? That the عين الفعل is what? What is it? مفتوحا في الماضي ومكسورا في المضارع غابر. The word, the funny غابر, it can mean past or future. Did you check the dictionary? It said past, that's what I'm saying, because it said past, but it also means future. So, if you look back to the previous one, he wrote مضموم في المضارع, and he wrote here مقصور في الغابر to teach you two different words. You get it? Because we've got ماضي here, automatically it has to be what? مضارع. So مقصورا في الغابر is what? مضارع. Correct? وبناؤه is pattern. Is for what meaning? أيضا. أيضا means what? Also for تعدية غالبا means? Usually. وقد يكون لازما. Sometimes لازم. Sometimes it's, majority of the time it's transitive, and sometimes it's intransitive. ومثال المتعدي ضرب زيد أمرا. So he helped him yesterday, and today he beat him. ومثال اللازم نحو جلس زيد. So this is an example of باب ضرب يضرب, where it's transitive. So how many babs are there so far? 2. باب نصر ينصر and باب ضرب يضرب. الباب الثالث, which is فعل يفعل. موزونه فتح يفتح. The word we match it up on is فتح يفتح. وعلامته أن يكون عين فعله مفتوحا في الماضي والمضارع. In ماضي and مضارع both are what? The عين كلمة is both what? فتح. It's got فتحة. But now it's got additional part here. This is why we need to pay attention. بشرطي, be here, we say here. What do you say here? With, but better translation would be?
It also has.
On a short condition, so? On the condition. On the condition. What condition? On the condition أن يكون عين فعله أو لامه حرفا من حروف الحلق. How do you translate this? On the condition that the عين كلمة
or the lam kalima is a letter from the letter of the throat.
Yes, the عين kalima or the lam kalima, either one of them is harafun, a particle, not particle, a letter from the حروف الحلق. Those letters that are pronounced from the throat. وهي ستة. What is 6? What is 6?
The
حروف الحلق. And they are الهمزة والهاء والعين والهاء والغين والخاء. So باب فتح يفتح, there's one or two exceptions, but generally across the board, all of the فتح يفتح, what do they have in them? حروف حلق and عين لام كلمة.
Is it 99% or?
Yeah, 99%, very high. It's only like aba, ya, ba, and one or two others. But remember, this is on a Venn diagram. We say here, فتح يفته. So فتح يفته and عين and لام having a حرف حلق. It's like this. You call it umum khusus mutlaq. Every فتح يفته must have what? In the عين and lam kalima. But every letter of a harf halq is not what? فتح يفته. For example, قعد يقعد. It has a harf al-halq. But is it ضرب يضرب? Sorry, is it nasr فتح يفته? No. So remember that. So every, okay. Yeah, it doesn't say. Well, I never thought about that, but it should, because if he doesn't mention, so it should apply mudhaf as well. Okay. When do you get mudhaf in فتح يفته? But I'm not sure. But we'll discuss that when we get there, inshallah. Can't remember at the moment. Okay. So far. وبناؤه أيضا للتعدية غالبا وقد يكون لازمة. Usually it's what? Transitive, sometimes it's intransitive. مثال المتعدي نحو فتح زيد الباب ومثال لازم ذهب زيد. فتح زيد الباب. They open the door. So this is the مفعول به. This is the transitive. And ذهب زيد intransitive. There's no مفعول به. Yes. So the third bab is there. So the first bab is نصر ينصر. Second bab is ضرب يضرب. The third bab is what? فتح يفتح. Remember the order as well, because remember some books will say الباب الأول, الباب الثاني, الباب الثالث. And it means this order. The فتح يفتح is a third bab. الباب الرابع فإلى يفعل, which is موزونه علم يعلم. What do some our books use? سمع يسمع. So, but they use علم يعلم. So it's good to know that they refer to. We say سمع يسمع. This book and other books use علم يعلم. It's a choice, isn't it? It's not like which is more common. Nobody actually done the statistics or done a database and say which is more common. But Samya Yasma was very common. One of some people thought Alima Ya'lam was more common. So some name the Alima Ya'lam or some name Samya Yasma'u. So it's good to know both names. I mean, even if you see it in a book, you know that. But it's just that which is what's the mawzoon? Which one do you match it up to? What you? So it's an opinion there. وعلامته أن يكون عين فعله مكسورا في الماضي ومفتوحا في المضارع. لأن الماضي is مكسور العين and المضارع is what? مفتوح العين. This is الباب الرابع, the fourth bab. وبناؤه أيضا للتعدية غالبا وقد يكون لازمة. So majority of them it has it. مثال المتعدي علم زيد المسألة. You pronounce it علم زيد المسألة. Zayd came to know of the مسألة. Well, not مسألة, مسألة. ومثال اللازم نحو وجل زيد. وجل يوجل to be لا توجل, scared, worried, to be in out of fright. Okay? So this is باب الرابع. So الباب الأول is what?
باب النصر.
نصر ينصر. الباب الثاني ضرب يضرب. الباب الثالث فتح يفتح. الباب الرابع سمع علم يعلم. Okay? And الباب الخامس فأول يفعل وموزونه حسن يحسن. What do we normally use? كرم يكرم. Both the same thing. كرم يكرم. But again same thing. وعلامته أن يكون عين فعله مضموما في الماضي والمضارع. That the عين كلمة is مضموم, هذا ضمة in what? The ماضي and the مضارع. وبناؤه لا يكون إلا لازمة. It is only what? لازم. Because the فعول يفعل كرم يكرم. This bab shows what intrinsic qualities, innate qualities like being tall, being short, being skinny. Well, those are not any external qualities, but in the long term. So you can't be tall on somebody. The tallness doesn't extend to somebody else. So all of these many body qualities and physiques and physical traits. So whereas there's internal qualities such as being patient or well, not being patient, but the help is an external quality. You carry out the action. But for example, to be kind, to be noble, to be helpful. To be helpful, but I don't know the word for that.
To be helpful to somebody.
Yeah, but I don't know what word we use for that. But for example, to be handsome, hasuna. To be noble, to be kind, to be tall, to be short, qasura. All of these words will be in there. وَبِنَاؤُهُ لَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا لَازِمًا. This pattern is only lazim. For example, hasuna zaydun. Yes? And al-babu sadis is what? فَإِلَ يَفْإِلُ موزونه حسب يحسب. وعلامته أن يكون عين فعله مكسورا في الماضي والمضارع. The alama is what? مكسور in both what? The عين الكلمة is مكسور in both what? ماضي and مضارع. وبناؤه أيضا للتعريف غالبا وقد يكون لازما. Majority of the time is متعدي, sometimes is what? لازم. مثال المتعدي حسب زيد أمرا فاضلا. حسب to think of, to consider. So this will mean what? Consider. So زيد considered Amr to be what? To be good. To be good. So look, the word حسيبة is a فعل القلب. إذا فعل القلب من بالكي أفعال القلوب الصغرى, isn't it? That have two مفعول به. Yeah. So it has two مفعول به. This is أمرا مفعول به أول, فاضلا مفعول به ثاني. If you haven't done it, you'll do it next year. بالكي الصغرى. حسب زيد أمرا فاضلا. So you have two مفعول به. ومثال اللازم ورث زيد. You're not hufad, but this example is incorrect as well. وورث سليمان داوود. So it has a مفعول به, unless they say there that is really وورث سليمان من داوود, and then the min is محذوف منصوب بالنزع الخافض. But we're not going to detail. But he's giving an example here. That's not the purpose of our book, but anybody need more deeper. So then, if you have a question that it does come in the Quran as a maf'ul bihi, they will say originally it was a min. And because the min is mahdhuf, then what happens now? It's mansoob bin naz'i al-khaf. It's mansoob by removing the harfun jar. So it is not technically muta'addi. But that's all technical stuff. That's not a point. Focus point is what? We understand the abwab of sarf. What are the 6 أبواب? الباب الأول is what? الباب الأول نصر ينصر. الباب الثاني ضرب يضرب. الباب الثالث فتح يفتح. الباب الرابع سمع يسمع. الباب الخامس كرمة. Is كرمة but we call it here حسن يحسن. الباب السادس, the 6th bab, حسب يحسب. So that's what's finished now. What's complete? The first section, if we go back to our beginning here. So الثلاثي المجرد. We've done a 6th bab. So the 35 abwab, we finished how many? 6 of them. Yes? Yeah. So the 6 abwab. As I said before, we're going to explain all the abwab of sarf in this section, inshallah. Okay? Subhanallah bihamdi subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.